Hey everybody, welcome to PDQ Live. I'm International Sex Symbol Jordan, along with the others. Mm-hmm. So today we're talking about... I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
That's forever.
It was in the outline. We're sticking to the outline.
All right, so today we're talking about basics. We're going back to basics. We're building deployment packages that are not in the library.
Okay, first question.
Okay.
Why? Why would you do this?
Well, because our package library is fantastic. We have a lot in there, but we are limited by things such as licensing, if it has a license, it has to go in there, or EULAs, the user agreements.
Okay.
There's sometimes that says that we can't provide the media for installing it. It has to be from them. So there's times where we just can't build a package for it, so we have to build your own.
So, like, if I have a financial system, like a wide orbit, maybe I would make one in that situation, or like a payroll system. Yeah,
so it's any like local software that you might have built out for your thing, any software that we don't have a user agreement for. Just, there's quite a few scenarios. There's some where we can't provide the install media, but we do build a template. So all you have to do is download that and throw it into the template and it works.
Okay.
But overall, there's just always customization that is unique to your environment that is going to be handy to be able to build your own.
Let's do it. Let's build some.
All right. So the first part of this, because every install you want to do it silently, because if you wait for users to click the OK button, there's no guarantee it's going to work.
Okay.
So finding silent parameters, Brock has a blog out there. Hopefully we have it somewhere in the notes.
So just to be clear, if we don't put the silent, it's not going to break. It just might not run because the user will stop it.
Yeah, so if no one's there to hit OK, or if they hit the wrong things, then it just won't complete. So either the package is going to time out or it'll fail because they hit cancel.
Okay.
So by doing it silent, they don't have the chance to hit cancel.
Okay.
So the first part in this, did I not start the...
Go ahead and start vMix capture.
Yeah, I thought I had.
That's all right.
I like that voice.
And I can't even exit out of it.
That's all right. No worries, everybody. Stay calm, and we're just going to ride right on through.
No, I can't even tab out of there.
It's frozen.
30-minute pre-show for this.
All right, looks like we're logging out real quick. Here we go.
Did we ever tell you guys we do this live?
That's all right. That's
We
what
do
we're
it
doing
live, and we've got a Halloween.
here. We're going to talk Halloween.
We've got a Halloween showcase over here. We got a trio of spooky
All right, we got
ghouls.
connections now.
All right, we have connections. We are going away
test
from
our
the
stuff.
ghouls.
So that's the thing we should have been testing.
No, we were
Just a
having too
little.
much
All
fun
right.
talking about Halloween. What are you talking about?
All right, so where was I before I was so rudely interrupted?
Exactly.
All right, so the first part is MSI. The great thing about MSI is the parameters are known. I'm going to come in here and grab the PDQ Connect agent.
So we like MSI.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and everything, because it's by default. So anytime you have an MSI, it's going to come in here, it'll by default put all the parameters. You can come and change it to like a repair or an uninstall if you would prefer.
Okay.
But it's going to default to running quietly, don't reboot, and do the install operation.
MSI is our buddy.
Yeah.
Got it.
So MSI makes things very, very easy.
Okay.
But when it comes to EXEs, there's a couple ways you can find, I guess, what the parameters are.
Okay.
First one is we're going to use command prompt as an administrator.
Always as an administrator, right?
All right, so we're going to use Git as an example. Because,
And this is a simple one, right?
Well, it's because I downloaded it from our library. We actually have this one in the library, but it was an EXE, so there we go.
Okay.
So copy as path. Put the path in there and just question mark, and it's going to put up a help documentation here that kind of gives you what you need to do. So you can see this one either /silent or /very silent.
Okay, there is so much information there. So can you just talk us through really quick? How do you know what you're looking for
Well,
if you're brand new to this?
Yeah, so for the silent parameters, it says right there, instruct setup to be silent or very silent. So that's what you're looking for. But if you're looking for things to customize your install to, if you want to include logging or you want to have no reboot or want to force the close of the app, generally there's going to be a parameter you can set and it'll be listed in here.
Okay.
So this one you can apparently you can pick a language with Git. That makes it valuable.
Can I put more than one, Jordan?
More than one language?
No, more than one parameter.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, anything that you put with the / and then the parameter, you just have to space and it will run each parameter. There are some that are mandatory in some cases, but you can have as many as fit. You don't want to put conflicting ones, but other than that, you should be fine.
Okay, so that's one way to find them. Is this your favorite way?
Yes, that one's my favorite way. And in the chat, Marcel says /lowercase s is not the same thing as /capital S.
So do it exactly as it lists it right here.
Case sensitive.
Okay.
It doesn't always matter, but it matters enough that just save yourself the headache.
Yeah, don't waste time.
Right. And the nice thing about this one is that you can build it out in a deploy package, and you can just send it off to your lab machines first. You can see if it works.
Test it.
Yeah. It's, I mean, you could run just the command line itself and run to see if it works, but deploy where it has things like it builds out the runner, it runs as sometimes a different instance. It's worth building out the package first.
Is this the same as doing it in the run?
Well, the command line we're calling is the same as that.
So it's the same
but
thing? Kind of.
No, because deploy copies it over to the machine it's running on and runs with different privileges. So the command line would be the same. The function is very different, which is why testing it within an actual package is important.
Okay. And what's the other way we can find parameters?
All right. I'm actually gonna. Well, I was gonna take that question, but
Oh, sorry.
No. It seems like we're working on it, so I'm gonna wait for it to come up because I don't have the answer anyway. All right. So the next one of finding silent parameters is Google it.
Google it.
Yeah. Chances are someone out there has already attempted to silently install something, and it's either going to be either in their documentation where you find it in Google, or it's going to be in some sort of form. But that's the other option. If you try that one out and it's not there, then yeah, just Google generally works. If you don't want to do command prompt, you can do from the run window. The same thing. I just put the exact same git with the / question mark. That will do the same thing as run it from command prompt.
Right, that's what I was asking.
No, so
yeah.
that's the same, yes.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
It takes a little bit longer, pops up there. So there's that. If generally speaking, using the command prompt with / question mark is going to get you what you're looking for.
Okay.
If not, Google's your next best bet. And then if you are absolutely desperate, you can do I'm just going to wait for it, Universal Silent Switch Finder.
But you don't like this one as much.
It's free. It works sometimes. I don't
That's
love
high
it.
praise. It works every now and
But
again.
if you've tried the Googling and you've tried command prompt and nothing's working, it's worth a shot. You can see here Notepad++ is / S, not lowercase s.
Okay, so this might be a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How do I know if the parameter works if I don't get the pop-up when I'm testing? That I know I'm good?
If it installs and you never see anything pop up, then you're done.
Okay.
All right, and that's the core of the blog Brock wrote. Goes a bit more into depth.
I assume we're going to attach that to this video so people can refer back to it.
Boy, I would hope so.
I mean, that's kind of smart of us. Okay, so we found our parameters. What do we do now? Now we make the package?
Yeah, and we're just going to kind of cover some of the more critical settings.
Okay.
That I don't know about critical, but ones that can make it a bit more unique and customizable for you. We're going to name this one for realsies because we're going to do something
For realsy this time.
real. So the main thing to remember, if we go back into the install step, you have the properties here that have like global conditions that you can set that don't impact this necessarily step. The step will run up by default, but you can change these on the step level as well. So you have a little bit of customization in there. But some of the big ones are for just time, ping before deployment. That one is if ping doesn't respond, it's not
Don't
going to
waste your
bother.
time.
Save you some time. Send wake up LAN if you have that set up is useful. I leave that up to whether you have that set up or not.
Sure.
But a big one is the run as. And I cover this one a lot because I'm a big fan of it. And default is deploy user. So whatever credentials I'm using to deploy this out, that's what it's going to use on the machine. So if you're using something like Laps where it has local admin, it's using local admin. If you do logged on user, it runs as whoever is currently logged on their instance. So if you're doing something where it has to pop up on the screen for some reason or run specifically for them, Apex is a big one for this.
Okay.
Logged on user will help you adjust for that. And the last one, local system. I think I've had to use this like maybe once, and I couldn't even tell you why I needed it. But if the others aren't working, give it a try and see how it goes. It does give you a lot of power behind it, but it's generally not needed.
Okay.
All right. Let's see where. I guess if we go back down to the step, so you can see you have some of the same options, but you have some that you can overwrite on the per step level.
Okay.
We have covered run as, that's an important one if the install you want to be global, but the actual next step that you're running is user specific. You can change one of those steps to be logged on, use the other one to be global.
Okay.
But another big one is the error mode. So by default, if step has an error, it stops. That makes sense. That's probably your most likely behavior. But you can also have things like continue, where it just ignores the error and goes on to the next step anyway. That's for if you're doing a whole bunch
Like
of installs.
nested.
You don't need to worry about all of those. Having it continue is fine. And the last one is stop with success. So basically, if it errors out, it's going to say, yeah, this was successful. That one's pretty uncommon, but that's more of if you want to make sure a setting is not there before you go forward. You could do that one.
Okay. Makes sense.
And then we'll go into a little bit more details on a couple of these. But this is the parameters where we talked about with MSI is by default. If we went back and did the get one again here, I'll get there.
Okay, attaching our exe now.
Yeah,
okay.
so we know that one is when we say very silent. And it was all caps. I didn't do all caps.
Yep.
That could come back and get me. So very silent. So any parameter you add here. So what was the INF file? If you wanted to go, it'll add down here. This is your full command line. This is the command line that will run to kick it off.
Okay.
So if this isn't working for you, or you need some extra intricacy, nailed it. You can hit custom, and then from there, you can manually modify it to be specifically, exactly what's going in there because you're seeing it. You're giving it by eye.
Okay.
And then success codes, and I have an example for this one. I'll go into just a bit on why that was important, just because it allows you to control whether or not something is considered a failure or success based on the result. These right here are the defaults if it was successful, but there are some, and I'll give an example just a bit. And the last one is additional files. And this is for if you are doing an install where it needs either like a setting or something specific, you can include those files. It will add it.
The install requires additional files.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll add that to the install, put it in the same folder, and it will be deleted when the install is done as well.
That's nice.
But if we were going to cover an example of the success codes, we're going to do command line, and we're going to do task kill. /im and steve.exe. Right here, so by default with the command prompt, the success code it has is 0. So if I save this one and I run it against the local machine, it's going to come back as an error, but that's not what we're looking for, because generally if you're doing a task kill, you're looking for, I need this to stop before I can do the install. And this is going to error because there is nothing called steve.exe. So it comes back as a failure.
There's not?
Well, not on this machine. Not on this machine. So there's a failure, but it's not really, because the overall goal of the task kill is we want to make sure that whatever we're looking for is not running.
Okay.
So the code you want to put in here is I wrote that one down.
128.
128. So now if we go and run the exact same thing.
So now you're telling it, I expect this to fail. I want you to ignore it and move on with yourself.
So either with that code, either it's going to find that task and it's going to kill it and report back that it did, which will be success, or it's going to return code 128 and say it didn't exist, so that's also a success.
Yeah.
So that's where some customization on the results, and if you're writing PowerShell scripts for this or anything, sometimes with the parameters you can specify a different exit code. You can all put that customized in here, and that helps also with reporting. I want things that errored with this exit code. It helps you kind of track that.
So not really success codes or failure codes, but really exit codes.
Yeah, just whatever's returning at the end.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, that's cool.
All right. I've already lost my place. What are we talking about now? Oh, the question mark.
The question mark.
The question mark. So this one is underutilized.
Okay.
When we were talking about steps here, and actually I skipped over instead of logged on state where you can set that. If you say, I want to make sure that this is a member of this collection, and you can do this per step level. So if you have one that's 6 steps and 5 of the steps doesn't matter, but the 5th needs to be part of a specific collection or have a specific file, on that step you can put in all the information you're looking for. But this can all work, but it's not intuitive. You have the little question mark right here, and these are all over the place. It's going to take you to the exact right area inside the documentation, and that's very handy to have.
Yeah.
Please use that, especially if you're using a new setting you're not familiar with.
Learn all about it before you do it.
All right. And
Cool.
I guess now we're going to kind of go into real-world examples.
Okay.
So last week in the pre-show, we had someone ask about BGInfo.
I love BGInfo.
And I said, yeah, that should work depending on what the silent parameters are without knowing anything about BGInfo. I've never run it. And after looking into it, I was right.
You were right.
I was right. But we're gonna build that one because that one is an interesting one that requires an additional file as well as a parameter that's not very common.
Okay.
So I have, I think in temp here, BGInfo. We're going to copy the path of BGInfo.
So you went out and you just you downloaded it. Let's just start from the beginning in case they don't know what it is.
A sysinternals. It's a standalone install or download you can do. It's not really even an install. And I didn't copy my path. Let's try that again.
So now we're going to go find our parameters, just like you showed us.
Yep, and we're going to do / question mark, and it's going to pop up right there. And these are kind of the command line parameters. Boy, I can talk. For BGInfo.
Okay.
So you see there, they have silent, but I was looking at, they actually put an example on this one where it basically says BGInfo with an actual file as well as a timer 0.
Yep.
And I messed around with it for a while on this one, and I found an error when I ran this one where it says basically I need a .bgi file, which I built. As you can see, it's 0KB. I said new text document and renamed it to .bgi.
And that's all you did. But you didn't do any configuring in this. So your theory is that you could customize this if you wanted less of this information to display.
Yeah, so I was more worried about just the install itself.
Yeah.
I didn't dive into everything you can do with BGInfo. But the fact that it's calling this type of file, I imagine there is a format where you can go and do some customization. I just didn't dive into that.
Yeah.
But so if we go back to our deployment, we're going to do, I'm actually going to name it. Are you ready for this? It's going to...
I'm ready.
BGInfo.
That's amazing.
All right. And then the step, it's an install step. You just need the file, wherever I put it. We're going to do the 64-bit because...
Why not?
All right. And then the parameters that we saw, they had one that was the / timer, but also we want to call the additional file.
Okay.
So we're going to add additional file BGInfo.
Okay.
That's just the blank one there.
Yep.
All right, so the first thing we know it's going to run right here, BGInfo 64.exe. Since the file's copying over, it's going to be in the same path. So it's just /. I'm going to be saying BGInfo a lot here. And then it comes down to the parameters that we looked at. One of them was timer 0. I didn't mess with other timers. I don't know why you'd be looking to delete it or if that means it runs occasionally, but I'm not going to mess with the time-honored traditions at this point.
No, just do it.
All right, and then the last one is, since it's not really installing anything, the silent doesn't matter. It's basically updating the background. It's a no license prompt, a LIC prompt, which was also listed inside the help documentation there. And the last thing is we are running this specifically for a user. So we want to go to our options and we want to set run as logged on user. Because we want to make sure that's running for the user that we're looking to change.
Okay.
All right, and then we're going to run that against our own machine. And while I'm running this, do we have any questions that came in?
We sure do.
All right, let's see them.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Doing the
Questions?
question.
I just got a comment that I spelled the license wrong.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing we're taking the question while I clean it up.
Can anyone explain silent versus very silent? Alex N.
Marcel explained it in the comments. One has GUI and one doesn't. If you scroll up, it's in there.
Is that always the case, though? That one seems like it sometimes acts that way.
Let's explain that because the chat is not going to last past this episode, but people may watch it in the future. So.
Yeah, so honestly, that was when I said I wasn't sure on that. And I just always just gone very silent because I really don't want anything to pop up. And I assumed very was very clear on that. But as far as what the difference is, I never bothered to look. So I'm not sure.
So according to chat, it looked like it was. It looks like it might have a GUI, but I'm guessing maybe you won't interact with it versus just no GUI whatsoever.
Yeah, and it also depends on what the manufacturer chooses to make the behavior. This is not going to be consistent between every single EXE.
Yeah, that is going to be defined by whoever did the packaging. So I always just default to very silent because I assume that means I mean it.
That's right.
It's also
Don't argue with me.
It's why Jordan put Jordan puts his eggs in the freezer instead of the refrigerator because he wants them to be very cold. So.
Non-interactive GUI. Okay. There it is. Oh my gosh, I love it.
All right, so if you want to
GUI?
share the screen here that I've got up. Right there, I ran that against the machine, and it did grab the latest BGInfo and put it in there.
Alex says you use silent or else.
I like that one. All right, so I've been told that I've been wasting my time as an admin by not using BGInfo more often.
I love this, but remember the first thing I said to you is I want like 4 of those attributes. So I would want to change that file.
Okay.
But I love this. Instead of wasting 10 minutes trying to talk your user how to find the machine name or IP address, boom, it's right there.
So that is a big one there. So my response was I assumed by customizing the BGI to be an actual template instead of a blank file. By putting a blank file, it said I needed one, so I gave it one.
Yeah.
But customization is absolutely going to be possible. But this is the important one for me.
Yes.
Host name is 10 high. Because say, hey, look at your desktop and tell me what it says next to host name is far better than, hey, can you go to my computer, right click and go to properties and tell me what it says in the middle of this section. And because I'm not going to disparage all end users, but there's enough of them out there that just being saying, hey, what does this say? That's nice.
No. Yeah. IP address, host name, and sometimes username, honestly, have been very, very, very nice to have for me.
And for an example of something you can use that for to make things easier, come back and I build a new package. And say they call in, they're logged into the machine, but they're locked out of, Office 365.
Yes. Okay, so now we're making a package with something that doesn't include software, right?
Yes.
Okay, we're segueing.
Yeah, we're changing it up. I'm going to go to PowerShell, and I'm going to make sure, because I know I'm breaking it. I've often said that 95% of the time you're going to be used deploy user, and then every example.
We're not using deploy user.
So we're going to go back to logged on user, and then the PowerShell. We're just basically going to do a start process of Chrome, looking for a specific URL. Put that in there. Save. All right, so I'm on the help desk. Some person calls, and their account has locked itself out. They've done nothing wrong.
Obviously nothing. They didn't forget their
Circumstances
password.
has conspired against them.
Yeah.
So I say, hey, look at your desktop. What does it say next to host name? Instead of going through all that rigmarole, they read that back to me. Come to the deploy once here, and what did I say it was? It was 10 high is the name of this machine. And the computer, normally I do dot since I'm running, but this is a fantasy scenario where a user called in.
That's right. That never happens, ever.
All right, so hopefully, there we go. So it's going to open up automatically on their computer. Here's how you unlock your Office 365.
And you could do this, like if you have a ticketing system too, and you have a portal, you could send this out into and say, do a ticket, and they go, I don't know how to do it. And you're like, now you
Send
do.
link, yep.
Okay, I love that.
So that's just a way to just basically send them a pre-opened web page so they don't have to worry about typing or clicking. Which
I love that.
That's the best one.
Okay, love it.
So a couple of the other ones we talked about is there's often we need a shortcut on the desktop. As you can see here, I pre-made this one.
It looks very important. Is it?
It is a very important shortcut.
Okay, let's see it.
All right, so we're going to deploy this very important shortcut once. And hopefully it goes quicker. I can just stand here silently while I run.
That won't be awkward at all. Let's do it. It's successful.
Yeah, successful. So this is quick. I just put it right here. The shortcut with the star. Jordan's button. If you open it up, this is the... And I'm not going to do the whole short, but that's a magical moment for everyone that watches.
Oh my gosh. I had so many friends call me and say that was their favorite short of you. They just love that one.
This is what took you to international sex symbol status.
I probably is the one. I thought I had cleared saying that with you this morning, so I was surprised to see that I had stepped wrong when I had done it.
You had no idea how important your butt was, did you?
Huh?
You had no idea how important your butt was until that short.
Well, I knew what had happened when I jumped over the couch, and that we were going to go live anyway, so it wasn't unexpected.
I was surprised at how fast and high you jumped. I'm not going to lie.
I'm agile. Obese.
You are. It's crazy.
All right, so the PowerShell behind that one,
Yeah.
I'm specifying I'm using Edge on this one. You're going to be sure they have Edge. They're not necessarily going to have Chrome or Firefox, so I'll use that one.
Yeah.
The file, I'm just naming it as we saw, jordansbutt.lnk.
You put it on the public desktop.
I just saw in the chat, what was the PowerShell? It's just start-process space chrome.exe space and then the URL you're looking. And that will open. You have to run it as the logged on user from deploy. Otherwise, it's going to open up in the background, and then they're going to have Chrome issues across the board, as I discovered during the dry run. So this one, we're basically building a new object. This is the comment for the shortcut, building out everything, including the YouTube there. In case you're wondering, Shell 32 icon 317 is how you get the star on Windows 10. I think it's 322 on Windows 7. That's information I retained, apparently. And that's kind of a quick PowerShell for building a shortcut. I know shortcuts aren't always an easy thing to manage. And looking on this one, I am putting it right in the public profile, so that will be for every user. If it's for a specific user, you would have to customize the shortcut file to look for which user you want. And at that point, you're going to want to put a parameter up top where you can say, what's the name of the user?
For your special users.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And that will kind of work for all of that one.
I love this. I can think of 10 reasons right now why I would use this.
Well, you can't top the one that I put live in the webcast.
Indeed, I cannot.
So the last one is how do we open like a file share on the desktop? And I will be honest, I spent a lot of time trying to recreate this into a file share instead of just a link. And every time I did it, I would get a type file where if you create a shortcut by right-clicking on the website or file share, say shortcut, the type is file folder. And looking at get member of the wscript.shell, I couldn't find a member that had file type. And so I spent a lot of time doing it wrong, and it turns out it's a single line.
Oh, okay.
So instead of bothering with all the fancy stuff, I just pretended I'm in Linux and I'm doing a symbolic link, which is Linux's way of saying file share or link to a share. So it's a new item, type symbolic link. I'm putting it once again on the public desktop, and I'm pointing it to the super secret folder.
Super secret.
So we're going to build that one real quick. And this one does not need to be as logged on user because we're putting it in the public profile. It's not user specific. What am I naming it? I'm naming it file share.
Not super secret.
Because you got to be descriptive.
You really do.
Once again with PowerShell, and that should be it. Just that quick, just with the one-liner. He said, hopefully. Send it to myself. I like using my own computer for the test. It makes it... What's the worst that can happen? I'm going to break
your own
break
stuff.
the webcast.
Yeah, just do it. Let's do it.
All right, so that one's successful. So gotta minimize that. Right there we have right there business files.
Oh no, don't sing, Tara. Stop it. Don't do it. Okay, I'm not doing it.
All right, so and there's all of my important business.
I don't know if they can read this. Interpretive dance movie, potato salad recipe, third one for comedy.
Yes.
Very nice.
I'm hilarious like that.
I know. I like it.
All right, that's kind of just 3 quick one-liners, and each one of those I did do a deployment package, but you could also do something within inventory. Just use a custom tool and do something similar. But I just like the ability of combining BGInfo because I feel like I answered a very rough of the pre-show question last time, BGInfo.
You did.
But once I dove in, it was more to it. So it's nice to be able to come back and cover.
Yeah. Do you like it now, though?
I mean, I like the idea of having the name of the computer right there.
Yes. Okay, fun fact. I have to say this because it's stupid, so why wouldn't I? Jordan and I both hate potato salad with onions, like vehemently. So
if they cooked the onions, it wouldn't be so bad. Raw onions, no.
No, disgusting. Yeah. There you go.
All right, so I saw someone rickroll your org with the Chrome. When we were testing our product back in the day, we used to, as part of testing that step, was open up Chrome on a bunch of computers around the office. So, yes, it works.
Of course you would do that. James, we're going to have a fight now. Oh no, Alex too. Oh no. Yes to the eggs.
I'm not getting into
no.
Let's just take questions.
Yeah, there you go.
We do have some questions.
All right.
And some of these were answered in chat, but maybe you guys can give your own thoughts on it. So if we are having issues getting a specific package to run/install, can we open a support case? Just Rob.
Yes.
They think we're here to help them? What the crap?
Well, not us, but support.
Okay, yeah.
Solutions.
Yeah.
And not only can you do that, they're really good. They're really good and they'll help you
Yeah.
out. So I would encourage it. I mean, and this is just for a be nice thing. Do as much as you can, build it out. So when you go to them, it's like, here's what I've tried and here's what I'm getting. And so they can build off of that. If you just go with, I tried installing X, it didn't work. There's too many variables. So document what you've tried. When you open a ticket, you'll get a much faster answer if you've narrowed down their troubleshooting.
And to tag along to that, Jordan, it's always a great idea to look up the vendor's documentation on how they recommend you do it. Because sometimes our hands are tied on the support side with what we can offer because we don't always have access to the installers, maybe haven't seen them before. But if you can get the vendor documentation, test it from an elevated command prompt running as the deploy user, see how it works from there before bringing it into PDQ deploy, you'll have a bit more success. And also, Marcel shouted out the Discord. There's a great community there. A lot of customers who have packages for all kinds of different software.
All right.
James trash talking is amazing. Love it.
More questions.
All right. More questions.
All right. Is there a list somewhere we can vote on applications we would like to be added to the official repo that gets updated? More just Rob.
So I believe we do have a place where you can request a package, but oftentimes not having it in there isn't we don't want to do it. It's a user license. Like we can't.
Yeah.
We can't, like, by providing the download. So it's much more likely if there's some we don't have and we can do, if you say, hey, can we build a template? Because we do have, we'll go back to the packages in here. Template. We do have these templates here where we build out a lot of automation. We just can't supply the install media. So if it's when we can't do that and you request a template, I'm sure we could probably do something along those lines that would be easier to get through. And then you just have to supply your own install media.
Yeah.
All right. I love these webinars, but will you ever start doing a comparable one for Connect or start doing more Connect stuff in this one? CM Punk.
Absolutely. We've been wanting to do Connect for a while. We've been waiting for a couple of features, which I think we're getting close. So there is a Connect one. I can't give an exact date, but in the near future, I feel comfortable saying.
In the coming weeks.
In the coming weeks.
Yes.
And this isn't necessarily just a deploy and inventory webcast. We cover simple MDM, smart deploy, and Connect. It's just Connect is new. We covered it a lot in the beginning. And as we add more features, or we'll start doing more and more. But it's just kind of, it just takes a bit of time to get those one out.
Coolio. All right, the next one. For the registry option, do you need to have a scan set up for that also, or will you, or will the step go and look at that time? Ed L.
So
Remember you talked about that.
Oh, for the registry on the step. So if you're using it within a step, then it will go and look at the registry on the computer you're on. If you're using an inventory collection based on a registry key, you would need to have a scanner for that one. But when you set that, and I guess I can open up instead of just
Being theoretical.
talking around it. So if you go in and you set a registry, setting it in here, it's going to look in the Hive on that machine where you specify and see if it's in there live on the deployment.
Yeah. So either would work, but if you're doing it this way, we'll check it this way is the answer.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, last one it looks like. How can we add ESX host and vCenter BGInfo display on VM desktop? Yusa Kadena.
I'm guessing by changing that file, but you didn't look at the file yet, so.
Yeah, so as far as VMware goes, running BGInfo against the machine, deploy runs against those just fine as long as it can reach it through DNS. As far as customizing and adding those information, it is going to be customizing the blank file that I built, and I just did not dive into that one.
I didn't ask him this question until yesterday. I should have probably asked you before yesterday, huh?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what it was at the point, so it's just like, can you install it? And sure.
Yeah, sure. I can.
But yeah, my guess is this file that I built here, which is blank, there's going to be some sort of template where you can say I'm looking for the specific information. And I don't know about VMware vCenter specifically, but if it can pull it, it would be that file that you customize. Everything else would be the same.
Makes sense.
All right. I think that's it.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. I love going back to basics. Deploy is extremely powerful, but it can do more than you might expect, so I'm always happy to talk about it. Hopefully this Gets everyone started for getting their automation done and out of the way. For PDQ, I'm Jordan.
I'm Tara.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. If you have additional questions that we weren't able to get to, reach out to our support folks because they are awesome. If you like what you've seen, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please leave us your comments. We would absolutely love to read what you think. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you back here next time.